This guy is trying to live forever. Are you a vampire?
Yes.
Why did you take your son's blood and put it in your body?
I mean, my son is here. Tom, do you want to come say hi?
Blink twice if he tricked you into doing it.
Yeah. I have the best biomarkers of anybody on the planet. So if there were an Olympic sport for health, I would be the gold medalist.
Steve will do it is healthier than you.
Sleep is the most powerful drug. To demonstrate this, I achieved the best sleep score in human history. So there's 5 habits you want to do for sleep. I am happier than almost anybody. I think I have a more fulfilled life than anybody.
Well, you got me beat.
Like basically, I have already died. Bryan Johnson is dead.
What was Liver King's real name?
Yeah, Bryan Johnson.
Because, dude, he also sat on this podcast and said Bryan Johnson died.
Let me tell you the story real quick about Bryan Johnson. That guy's fucking
He's
gone.
dead.
2030 is going to make 2025 look like the 3rd century. We're all NPCs.
Who's the main character? Roman Reigns.
My internal body clock is 0.57. My birthday's every 21 months.
All right, so how much will Mike's Burger take off your life?
Roughly the same as 1 cigarette.
20 minutes.
Fine.
When you do things like binge eat at night, there's a calculation of how much you're actually dying.
You do that, Mike.
Well, you do too, you scumbag.
No, it's sick. Because you're right. No, what you're describing is right. I love potato chips. Bro, if I had a shake past 8 p.m., I would totally do it.
You drink
In and out, whatever. I like.
So let me give you an example. So when you go to bed on time, right, you're basically giving your body the capacity to heal itself and repair. You're slowing down your speed of aging. You can start with yourself. You can then bridge to your family. You can then bridge to your community. You can then bridge to the world. So the goal here is that we feel power in these actions, and I'll walk through these. But this is why it's all connected, is you can be a warrior in this cause of the species through actions you can take on a daily basis.
Like what, though?
Okay, so let's start with sleep. Okay, so sleep is the most powerful drug available to anybody, like by far the most powerful drug. And so to demonstrate this, I achieved the best sleep score in human history. I experimented 100 different things. So there's 5 habits you want to do for sleep. So one is you need to map your identity. Your sleep is you are a professional sleeper. So in the same way, like we scheduled a podcast today, we met up today, like we agree, we show up on time, we behave a certain way. But when you think about sleep, you push it around, right? If you're towards your bedtime, you're like, I want to watch a show, or I want to hang out with friends, or I want to like, you just like push it around however you want. You have to show up on time and treat it that seriously, like you would your job. Number 2 is your final meal of the day matters a lot. So I eat my final meal of the day 9 hours before bed.
Amazing.
And I do that because my body completes digestion. And so then when I hit my head as a pillow, my resting heart rate's 44. And when it's that low, I'm gonna have a perfect night's sleep.
You reverse fast from what I am taking in comparatively to the other intermittents in the world, like myself, who wakes up and does not eat until 3 p.m.
No, you do something kind of similar. Don't you?
No. He eats
in the morning.
5 a.m.
When?
Yeah, like 6 to 11 a.m.
That's it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And then I fast from there, then I go to bed like at 8:30.
Aren't you hungry?
I'm accustomed to it now. I was hungry before.
Being hungry sucks, dude. That's going to be a tough hurdle for a lot of people.
Yeah. So,
But have you accomplished, and also I guess I can give this back to you and Gary, have you accomplished by the time your food starts to wear off and you start to become hungry, the majority of your critical tasks for the day? Meaning my system is kind of fucked because I've got to take calls, I've got to do emails, I've got to work on an empty stomach, not eating until 2 or 3 p.m. He's already moved through all of his critical tasks for the day by the time he starts getting hungry around 6 o'clock. And at that point, the only thing you're going to be focused on is going to sleep.
yeah, so people do not need to do what I'm doing. Like I'm on the extreme side. Yeah. So people can just simply start with the basic one of 2 hours. So if your bedtime's 10, just be finished eating by 8.
Okay. That's great. We could do that.
Yeah.
Not to bring up Huberman, because I don't know if you guys are same side or competitors or whatever, but he has a rule that's like, is it 4-3-2-1, 3-2-1 something? It's no food, then it's no drink, no liquids, then it's no screens, and then it's no lights or something. I don't know. What is that here again? Something of that nature.
Yeah. So what you want to do?
Probably hate him and want to fight him.
No, it's fine. So what you want to do is you want to so every time you hear advice, ignore advice and just measure. Okay. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to drive down your resting heart rate. That is the single strongest predictor of your sleep quality.
What is your resting heart rate?
44.
At night or generally
When
speaking?
I lay down to go to sleep, it's 44.
What about right now?
Probably 52.
And can we test it?
Sure.
I watched your workout routine.
Have you considered upping your cardio to potentially get that resting heart rate lower?
Yes.
I have a pretty solid resting heart rate. It's like 39, 40.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of cardio.
Yeah.
And I feel like it has to be related somehow.
Yep, I agree. That's so like that 39 to 40 is perfect, right?
I don't believe
it's
him.
elite. It's elite level.
I want
Yeah,
proof.
it's like it's spot on. So good job.
What do you use to measure your sleep?
Whoop and eat sleep.
8 Sleep's nice
It's very nice.
because it also cools your bed.
Yes.
And as you mentioned earlier, you're 5 degrees lower than the average person, but also the surface on what you're sleeping, if it's colder, can cool your body temperature.
Totally.
Provides for better sleep, correct?
And then when you go to hotels and you don't have a cooled bed, oh man, it sucks.
I got to make the room cold.
yeah,
Extremely
same.
cold.
I go the lowest number possible.
I was gonna say, how low are you like sleeping in hotel rooms?
Yeah, the lowest the thermostat will go.
Probably like 65.
Yeah, exactly. 64 is like typically most hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So sleep and the diet is an easy one.
Well, no,
Yes,
that
I-
was
so,
oh,
yeah.
you just breezed through.
So,
it,
so,
though.
so start, number 2 is the last meal. So just start with 2 hours.
Okay.
And then go to 3, then go to 4, then go to 5. Just test it out.
I see.
And you'll find that you'll get accustomed. Like you might say, I'm really hungry. I hate this. In a few days, you might be like, God, this is amazing. Like I actually love how I feel. Because you wake up in the morning, you're like, best I've felt never. So you want to drive down your resting heart rate. If you eat before bed, your resting heart rate is going to be up by 20, 30%. Your sleep's going to go down 20, 30%.
You know what an analogy I heard that you're the expert on all this stuff. And part of the reason why I'm so interested in what you do is because like I do like a similar like versions of this. A low resting heart rate, essentially, someone equated it to me as like driving a car.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put shitty gasoline and your car is always running like the engine's working all the time, or if you're on the opposite end, if your heart is beating less for longer by the time you're 40, 50 years old, if your heart is essentially on idle
Exactly.
for most of your life, it's going to be a more efficient heart and be able to keep you alive longer because it's beated 200,000 times less than the normal person.
Exactly right. If you look at these like power laws, where I read a book where it's something like mammals get 1 billion heartbeats. That's what they get. And so you're just spending down life with heartbeats. So I haven't seen the exact science. I just know as a power law that you can look across species and see this. So it makes sense if your heart rate is lower, if your body temperature is lower, if you're burning cooler, it makes sense, right? The body's going to sustain itself longer. If you're burning hot and fast, you're going to burn through life faster. Now there's some exceptions in the science, but generally speaking, that is exactly right.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. But what are some ways to then lower your heart rate? But besides not eating, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours.
Yeah. So now we have this principle established of, so people who don't have a wearable tonight, when you go to bed, this is the example, just simply measure your heart rate. So put, your fingers up to your neck here or your wrist and just see where you're at as a baseline. And then start with your 2 hours before bed, then 3, then 4. And you're just going to see your heart rate drop. And as your heart rate drop, sleeps improve. The next step is to do a wind down routine. And so oftentimes the things that drive our heart rate up are when we're aroused, right? When we are concerned, when we're anxious, when we're spinning through thoughts, if we've been in a fight. So at 7:30 p.m., 1 hour before I go to bed, I start my wind down routine. And I do this internal dialogue where I'll say, okay, sleep Bryan is now on duty at 7:30. So I imagine him with like a shield and a sword, and he's like, you shall not pass.
Yeah.
And so like at 7:31, ambitious Bryan shows up and he's like, I got a plan for you. Like, I know we have this new product idea, this new concept. And sleep Bryan's like, thank you, ambitious Bryan.
Yeah, get out of here.
We love you.
Yeah.
Like, you're a great guy. Legit. We're busy right now, getting ready for bed.
Fair.
So we're gonna write this down, and tomorrow we're gonna be like full, listen to your ideas. And then I address him, then 7:32, anxious Bryan shows up and he's like, God damn it, today, you said that thing and you were such an asshole. So they probably hate you.
What about if horny Bryan shows up? Because for a lot of Americans and everybody else on the planet, nighttime is a good time to bang it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And for some people, that might arouse them or get their heartbeat going.
Yeah, great. So sex, I think I've seen the data. I think it has a mixed result. Some people do well with it, some people don't. So I think, do sex. Like
I like these character versions of yourself that you do. When you describe the old version of you, which it was fascinating. You had battled depression. You got into all these unhealthy habits, and one of which you referred to yourself as nighttime Bryan would show up, and that's when you indulge.
Wait, who's this dude?
Yeah,
I gotta hear more about this guy.
Yeah, so tell us about nighttime Bryan, because I think being able to identify the versions of yourself that pop in and out of your life, it's something I've done. I always like to play with the idea of present self and future self.
Yes.
And the idea that I want to look out for my future self, and in order to do that, present self got to show up.
That's right.
For that dude.
Yes.
Because I know, like right now, 29-year-old me is very grateful for 24-year-old Logan.
Yes.
Because he worked his ass off, and I'm looking around, I'm like, my life's pretty good. Shout out 24-year-old me. But so I like this idea of characterizing these versions of yourself. But tell us about nighttime Bryan.
Yeah. So this is when I was depressed. I was building my company. I was having challenges in my relationship.